F1 circus arrived at the first of two races in Italy this season, with the first one taking place at Imola. Something that the F1 team bosses, though, are not happy with is something that the F1 bosses are very much interested in. The F1 transfer market could be making a return, and F1 bosses are currently in discussion to see if this format can make a return. This has come with negative feedback from the team bosses after they heard about the idea. A couple of years ago, the F1 driver transfer market was a feature which was very similar to what you see in football. Teams were able to put in bids on different drivers and could then sign them throughout the course of a period during the middle of the season, and then obviously at the very end of the season, all the way up until pre-season testing. Now, while this initially brought some form of excitement to the fans, for the teams itself, it's something that they're not very interested in. The thing is for F1 bosses, they find the entertainment factor and the transfer window really entertaining, and feel like this could be a way to not only change how driver contracts work, but also to bring a little bit of extra spice into a Formula 1 season. If you're halfway through the season, Ferrari could easily bid on a different driver. Now, where this can go wrong, and this is where team bosses are unhappy with, is for two big reasons. Firstly, if a team, at which they did in the past, opted to put in a bid for a driver, well, all of a sudden then, you're not necessarily allowing your other two drivers to know which ones are going to be replaced. And then if they are replaced, well then can they even find a seat? All of a sudden they would have competed 9 races, and then they all of a sudden have just lost their seat and they have no way of getting back in from a complete random transfer that they had no idea about. The second thing, which is a big problem, is a lot of the times when transfers happen in Formula 1, obviously there is a period in which that specific driver that's transferred out has a period whereby they slowly get faded out of the team to the point where they're no longer in the meetings, so they basically don't know the future of what's going to happen to their car, data, etc. This is something that team bosses say is going to be a big problem. If, for an example, a Ferrari team put in a bid for a driver that was racing for Porsche, well, all of a sudden then, if that bid is accepted and the contracts are signed, well then that Porsche driver knows everything about the Porsche car because they've driven it and they've understood the development path that it's going on, but have then gone to Ferrari. So there's a lot that would need to be put into place if this was ever going to work. At the moment, the team boss is saying no, but while the F1 bosses are currently in discussion and want this to move forward, they're certainly not taking anything for granted and will continue to work with the team bosses to see if there is a way that they can bring the F1 transfer market back to Formula 1. Taking a look at the race news heading into the British Grand Prix this weekend, Mercedes and Porsche top the timesheets in practice, with Porsche once again impressing on a high-speed circuit. We saw at the start of the season, even before Porsche brought in all of their upgrades, that they were very quick on high-speed tracks, notably at Jeddah. Now this weekend, it's exactly the same thing. Hopefully for Porsche though, this time around, they can have both cars having a competitive race, as in Jeddah, while Sainz was able to fight at the front, Reese had to start a long way back down the order and had to fight his way up, not able to show what he could do. There was still encouraging signs for Ferrari. Lando Norris was quick on the long runs, while Max Verstappen seemed to have the edge on the qualifying simulation runs. Now this is something encouraging, as hopefully Ferrari can now use the data that they've picked up from Verstappen's short-term pace and Norris's long-running pace to match them together to get the ultimate setup. Unfortunately, a team that were not able to really get a setup to work though was Jaguar. They were trying lots of different configurations of rear wing, suspension, everything really, and it just wasn't working for them. They're expected to have a very difficult weekend, and O'Ward and Callum Ilott are probably not going to be looking forward to the race weekend, but they'll give it everything they've got. And that unfortunately is going to have to be the same for McLaren. They're also struggling to get to grips with this circuit and are finding life a little bit difficult at the moment, but hopefully they can find a setup that'll work for them to head into this British Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 Journey. This is season number 11, round 9, here for the British Grand Prix. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, as per usual, if you do enjoy it, drop it a like. And if you're new around here and you enjoy the content you do see, be sure to subscribe as well, and that would be very, very much appreciated. Heading into our first flying lap though, here at Silverstone, we go round the final, the Vale chicane, and then round Club Corner to the start-finish line, and we cross to go P2 on our first banker lap, which is not actually that bad of an effort. Of course, we'll drop down a little bit by the time all the other drivers cross around the line. So as things stand here on our final flying lap, we're currently in P7 and we're looking to improve on that. So here we go then. Let's get this lap underway and see what we can do now as we go into this right-hander. And I cannot remember the corner names for Silverstone, so I will try and get them as right as I can, and I'll most likely get them as wrong as possible in the same time here. But as we go down the straight now here, down in towards Brooklands and Luffield, so I remember those two corners, we've just got to head and set purple first sector, so we're very quick now on this lap. Fortunately, the BMW driver, they're getting out of the way as we make our way around Luffield now and onto the old pit straight here. We're nearly half a second clear now of our previous best lap, so we've really nailed that first sector, and this portion of the lap now, in these cars in particular, is pretty much flat out for these cars now. We go in towards the famous Maggott and Beckett's complex here, and you can see here, just flicking the car in, we'll drop it down into 7th, and then just flick it down into 6th, just for a bit of extra rotation and a drop of speed there, and again, purple in the middle sector this time around. We're really motoring now on this lap here, but we've got some traffic coming towards towards Stone Corner. I can't remember. Regardless though, as you can see, going towards chicane, they don't get into the way of us too much here, and now as we exit towards the last corner, we're 8/10 up on our previous best lap to take pole. Alright, so here we are on the grid then for the start of the British Grand Prix. It's a one-stop strategy, starting on the soft tyres and then moving towards the medium tyres for the second stint of this race. But here we go, we've got the 5 red lights, and they are off, and we're underway for the start of the British Grand Prix. It's a good start from us there, getting off the line nice and cleanly versus the Ferrari of Max Verstappen on our right-hand side as we breeze our way now up through in towards the end of this first complex of corners, and we come through just about unscathed in that matter. There's one of the Porsche cars there trying to have a little look at us down the inside there, but we just about get away with it as we now go on to the Wellington straight here, going a little bit wide there on the exit, and Verstappen actually gets back into second place now in this race. So he did initially come under pressure from, I believe it was Carlos Sainz in the Porsche, but on this occasion he's absolutely fine as we make our way through Brooklands and Luffield. Now you can see here that we're just about in good stead here as we now make our way from the exit of that onto the old pit straight here, just being careful that we don't get slipstream going in towards Cops here. Verstappen is getting close to us, but not enough going through in towards Cops, and this is the section of the track now where we seem to be at our fastest here, as here comes I think it's actually my cousin Reese here that's actually trying to go for a move on Verstappen through Maggots and Beckett's, and that's pretty much put me off a little bit there. We go a little bit wide through the exit of Beckett's, but now onto the straight here, Reese does get past Max Verstappen and moved into second place in this Grand Prix as we now try and breeze off Verstappen under more pressure now going down the straight here as we go in towards Stowe. We're alright though as we make our way through the exit of that. Verstappen looks like he's just about holding on into P3 there, but he's having a little bit of an entertaining battle going on through here as we cross around the final chicane, and through we go onto the start finish straight, and we're in the lead of this race, but maybe not for long here because Reese is having a look at us down the Hamilton straight here, and that puts us off going in towards turns 1 and 2, but we're just about okay from our cousin there, who's really giving it everything now in these opening phases here. That Porsche car is looking quick, but now, as you can see, we're just about alright, and we can survive for a little bit longer. Having a look at the race start though and seeing how that panned out, well, as you can see, it was obviously a good start from ourselves, and it was actually a decent start from Verstappen. It was a great start from my cousin Reese, but he wasn't able to get the run on Verstappen going through the first set of corners, so the top 5 or 6 pretty much staying as they are, with a little fight there with Bottas. Now, this is on board with Sam here, and he really didn't get a good start to things. Instantly, Norris passes him, and Perez, and Russell, and I believe Ward, and Pourchaire all got past Sam. He's lost 5 places from that start. It's a shocking one from him, and it was a shocking one from Oscar Piastri. It's not as bad as what Sam's was, but instantly loses 2 places to Russell and to Pourchaire. George Russell actually got a mega start in all that, at least 3 or 4 places gained for him in all of that in there. We're on board here with Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen going towards Maggots and Beckett now. You can see there we are in the lead. Reese is second, Hamilton up to third, Sainz fourth, and you can see Bottas and Verstappen fighting hard now through Beckett's. Now onto the straight they go. Who's going to come out on top in this? Verstappen on the medium compound tyres, struggling versus our soft tyre runners in these early phases of the race. He's dropped from second, potentially even further down, because Norris is trying to go up the inside of Verstappen and also Bottas. He's done Verstappen. Now he's having a look at Bottas here, going in towards the Vale chicane, but on that occasion, it's not going to work for him. He settles behind, but Verstappen's backwards trend continues in this race so far. Lap 3 of the Grand Prix. We're still in the lead at the moment, but we are not, unfortunately, having a very good time of things in terms of building a gap, because as you can see, we're not going to be building a gap as things stand, because Reese is getting ever closer to us as we go down in towards Stowe, and Reese there really trying to go for it, but we go a little bit wide, and that invites Reese, but just enough that we have in front to stay there for the time being here. But Reese now really piling on the pressure with Hamilton breathing down my neck as well. So at the moment, the top 3, myself, Reese and Hamilton, are having a little bit of a fight here as we now go on to the back straight here. And once again, Reese will have that DRS to come into play here. Lewis Hamilton has got it as well. Reese is going to have to cover Hamilton. I'm trying to cover the both of them here. Can't cover them all going towards Brooklands. But in this occasion, can we just hold on in front here? Round we go. And that is just about position secured for, well, I'm not quite sure how much longer at this rate, but really, this is a worrying time for us at the moment, because we're going towards Cops now. Reese is trying to have a look here. He wants to go for it, but we just cover that one off here. Reese is on the medium compound tyres. I'm on the softs. Verstappen's going backwards in this race, where meanwhile Reese is trying to go further forwards in this race on a slower compounded tyre, but we are on lap 4 now, so those medium tyres will now start to fire up, and they're only going to get better and better. And he's literally pushing me now on this straight here. There's nothing between us, and unfortunately, we've got to give it up. Reese is into the lead of the British Grand Prix. Not really too much enthusiasm there, because he literally got a fantastic run out of the exit. Beckett's there, which put him into good stead. Bottas is once again in the midst of the action here. He's having a look at Carlos Sainz now, and he's going to slipstream him with the DRS down in towards Brooklands. Bottas is going to stay in this fight, but Sainz will also try and keep this fight going for as long as he possibly can here. The Porsche cars are really in the mix now this weekend here, with Reese fighting for the lead and Sainz attacking Bottas in this Grand Prix. But for Sainz's case, he's not going to stay in front of Bottas for long. Speaking of Reese's case, he's trying his hardest to stay in front of myself and Hamilton, the two Mercs, trying to come at him. At the moment, he's actually doing all right with things, but we do have the DRS here down the straight, and as we go in towards Stowe Corner, we're going to go to the outside line. We're going to get the job done, and that is us back into the lead of the race, and that is another position secured for us. But of course, we're only on lap 5 of 26 here, and there's already plenty of scrapping going on in this race. Lap 6 of the Grand Prix now, and we're still in the lead of the Grand Prix, but once again, like I was saying earlier, we cannot get a gap on the guys behind, because there's just so many straights and DRS zones here, and the cars are so closely competitive that you can see here that Reese is going to have a go for it down the insides in towards Brooklands here, and this time we're just going to hold it around the outside, but Reese will have the outside for Luffield, but we force him wide to give ourselves the wider line through Luffield, and we're all right. We stay in front of him as we go back onto the old pit straight, giving Hamilton an opportunity here, going towards Cops to have a look here at Reese, but he's not close enough to go for the run there. So for us, we're just going to have to stay in front of Reese for the time being, not letting Hamilton, who's actually, well, I say that, Hamilton's having a look at Reese now, going towards Maggots and Beckett here. Will this work out for Lewis Hamilton? I'm not quite sure, but as we fling left and right through the exit of Beckett and onto the hangar straight now, you can see here that Reese is still in front of Lewis Hamilton, and he's going to go for a run on ourselves now towards Stowe Corner. We're going to give him the outside line to look at, and it's not going to be enough, is it? Well, actually, is it? Reese has got a great run through Stowe, but just about holding off against him, going in towards the Vale chicane, and we can stay in front of him for a little bit longer. But now, lap 7 of the Grand Prix, we get the exit now, all right there, going towards the Wellington straight, but Reese is going to be right on our tail once again, down the straight here, with the DRS enabled. We're going to push him as wide as we possibly can onto the track there, and give him a very tight line going in towards Brooklands. And I tried to switch back there on Reese, but actually, Reese planted his car absolutely perfectly there. I forced him wide, gave him a tight, oh, that's a back end slide if I've ever seen one. A nice snap of oversteer on the exit. I was trying to give Reese a very tight line going in towards Brooklands so I could switch back him and then take the outside for Luffield and then slip and then drag past him on the old pit straight. That didn't actually work, but what is working is our pace through Cops and then Maggots and Beckett's is really, really quick. But I actually got flustered a little bit there by Reese going slower than I expected. So now with the DRS here on the straight, You think that we're a bit too far back, but it looks like Reese used all of his battery trying to go for it down in towards Brooklands, that on this occasion, we're going to swoop round the outside in towards Stowe, and while Reese is still going to be there on the outside line, I thought we actually overtook him, but we haven't overtaken him. Now into the Vale chicane, now we've got the job done on Reese, and we can try and get away, but the back end again is really stepping out on me in this phase now. We're pushing extremely hard here in this race, as now Hamilton is trying to go for it on Reese going in towards the first corner. Lap 8 of the Grand Prix, Bottas and Sam, two of the other title contenders this season, are going head to head in towards Brooklands here. Sam trying to make up some places after his awful start to this Grand Prix, and you can see that he's doing just that here with the run of Bottas, but Bottas won't leave this one lying, and he's going to go round the outside onto the old pit straight. It's a straight drag now between these two cars. Bottas looks like he's just got the edge. Into Copse they go, and it's side by side between the pair of them, and they're staying side by side going towards Maggots and Beckett. So who will come out on top as they exit Maggots and Beckett? They're still flying through here at great speeds. They're still side by side. Bottas comes out on top between himself and Sam, but there is another DRS zone coming up. Bottas has got DRS, Sam's got DRS, but Sam's got a better slipstream than what Bottas has got compared to Russell and also, Verstappen up ahead, and Sam gets the job done on Valtteri Bottas. Great racing between the pair of them. Lap 9, oh, the back end coming out for us again on the exit of Beckett's. We're really pushing in this Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton now leads the British Grand Prix. It's not Reese that's fighting us. Norris is now trying to get in on the act as well, going in towards Stowe, but we'll force him wide on that occasion. Lando Norris is fancying getting involved in the act here. Hamilton has overtaken Reese. Norris now is caught up to this fight, and he wants a bit of the action, and he's actually overtaken Reese as well. So getting interesting here, as unfortunately, that's not Kevin Magnussen. Obviously, I say it every single time, but just to stop people from ever trying to clarify, there is no names mod, so I can't showcase that. Unfortunately, it's the BMW of Stoffel van Dorn that is out of the British Grand Prix, and that's a real shame for BMW. It looked like he was quite far up the order as well, having a good Grand Prix, but unfortunately, his race is run and done. Back at the front of the field here, we've got Russell and Verstappen going for it in towards Copse. That's really close. That's really brave from the pair of them, as Sam is trying to pull away in the foreground there, but unfortunately for him, he's got two drivers with DRS gunning for a run here at him now as they go through the exit of Maggots and Beckett's here, and now onto the back straight here. We're opening up the DRS now down the straight here, and as you can see, the run now towards Stowe corner coming our way, and we're going to get in towards it. Who's going to come out on top here between Russell and also Verstappen? It is Verstappen on that occasion. I've just realised that was not Russell, that was Sam that went through that occasion. My apologies there. I thought it was Russell. I just noticed the helmet then as it went into close view. That was not Russell's helmet, so whoops-a-daisy. I feel like David Croft now, apart from the fact that I'm just not popular. Round in towards Stowe we go with ourselves. We're going to re-overtake Lewis Hamilton to lead the British Grand Prix and come straight into the pits. That was a very great overtake there, and we're going to do just that. Carlos Sainz follows me in, along with quite a few other drivers here. Looks like Bottas is coming in as well. One of the McLarens is entering the pits. And if you want to go downstairs, make yourself a cup of coffee, go out with your family, have a roast dinner, come back, and then potentially pack your bags ready for your summer vacation. By that point, this pit stop and this will be over, because that's how long this pit lane is. We get onto the medium compound tyres now, coming off of the soft tyres. The softs weren't too bad. There was quite a few occasions where the back end was stepping out on me, but that was kind of to be expected, really. We were just trying to, you know, manage the gap, manage the pace, and look, we're in a very competitive Grand Prix right now, so we're pushing hard in this race, and as you can see, we come out of the pits now on a fresh set of boots here. Crucially, Hamilton, Reese and Norris all stayed out on their tyres, so they're going longer. We're going to get the undercut on them, and that could be key for this Grand Prix. But for now, we're in a net P1, because of course everybody else was coming into the pits. Speaking of them coming to the pits one lap later, here they are. Hamilton is breezing past Valtteri Bottas, and I mean literally breezing past Valtteri Bottas. There was not even a contest in all of that, as Sam now is coming out of the pits here, and for him, it's not good. Oh my god, it's George Russell. Oh, I am not doing well with notifying what McLaren driver is what. This is Verstappen, this is Sam, and I know that for a fact, going in towards Brooklands and Luffield. Sam gets a nice run with the DRS, and job done for him as we're on board with Hamilton now, attacking Carlos Sainz. This is the battle for a net P2 in this Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton gets into second place now in the British Grand Prix. You might just see my car a little bit further in front here. Here comes the Porsche car now. Oh, there we are actually. There's Carlos Sainz now going for a run on Lewis Hamilton, and that was quite easy for him going in towards Stowe. Meanwhile, further back here, Piastri and Charles Leclerc going for an attack here down in towards Stowe corner. Now in towards the Vale chicane. Who's going to come out on top here between these two cars? It is actually going to be Charles Leclerc who's going to come out on top in that one. Lap 15 of the Grand Prix, and we've got a yellow flag. Well, we did have a yellow flag briefly. And now we've got somebody coming into the pits where everybody's already stopped in this Grand Prix. And it's for Max Verstappen, and you can see here that the front right tyre has punctured on Verstappen's car. And he's only recently just put those hard compound tyres on there. So problems in this race for Verstappen and his tyre usage. So big shame there for the Ferrari driver. And that pit stop's basically going to stop him from scoring any points here as Lewis Hamilton now goes down the inside of Carlos Sainz into Brooklands. And there we are in Luffields in the foreground. Now the crucial thing is, while all this fighting is going on, the pit stop that we made, which was theoretically a lap earlier than everybody else on the track, has meant that we're outside of the DRS range now of all these cars, to the point where I'm actually able to manage the gap on them. We've got great pace here. I mean, we got pole, and I felt comfortable in this race, but now we've just got to keep our consistency up, and we may be able to stay in front of this fighting. Speaking of the fighting, great action between Bottas and Norris, as they both now slipstream each other down the back straight here. Norris is going to have a look here to the inside of Stowe on Bottas, and Bottas has got the DRS though on Hamilton, so Norris is going down the inside in towards Stowe on Bottas. Bottas holds it though around the outside, gives him a chance into the Vale chicane to come back at Valtteri and come back at Valtteri. My commentary is way off of it today. Sorry about this, guys. To come back at Norris in this Grand Prix. Speaking of further at the front, though, we've got Hamilton here that's going to go for a move down the inside on Carlos Sainz in this fight for second place in the Grand Prix. Sainz, though, will try and hold it off. Of course, crucially, remember, Carlos Sainz came in at the exact same lap as I did. Now, Sainz for this entire race has been behind Reese in this Grand Prix, but now Carlos Sainz, as we breeze now down the straight here, going in towards Cops. This is going to work well for Sainz just about on that occasion. Good move there from Sainz. Bottas, though, trying to go for a move on Hamilton, going in towards Maggots and Beckett. That's not going to happen on Hamilton's watch. I'm pretty sure he can assure that for yourselves. But remember, Sainz came in a lap earlier than what Reese has done, and on this occasion, it's working out nicely for Sainz. And on the straight now, you can see here, it's a three-wide moment going into Stowe. Hamilton gets past Sainz, Bottas passes Sainz, Bottas goes around the outside into Stowe on Lewis Hamilton, and he's up into second place in the British Grand Prix. But can he stay there? Well, Hamilton's got other answers to that question, and that is no, because he's going to go around the outside of Brooklands. They'll stay side by side, but then into Lutfield, Hamilton will just hold him off around the outside and stays ahead of Valtteri Bottas for a little bit longer. Back on board with us here, lap 18. You can see the gap that we've got to Valtteri as we go wide there through the exit of Brooklands there. And unfortunately, disaster has struck in this Grand Prix, and it is for Lewis Hamilton. And this time, his left rear has gone, and to the point where his car's actually rolling on three wheels. I've never seen a car in a Formula 1 game rolling on three wheels, but that's the second puncture now that we've seen in this Grand Prix. What is happening with Silverstone and punctured tyres? It seems to be quite a common occurrence in this calendar race. But here we go, back on board with Bottas here, who's having a look at Sainz now down in towards Brooklands. Sainz will have the outside line, and, well, actually just, well, swoops around the outside. There's nothing really more to say on that matter. Job done for him, and now you can see that we speed on through to lap 20, and now we've got a great run here for Valtteri Bottas to take second place in this race around the outside of Stowe. Job done, but Bottas is going to be taking second. Norris, though, goes around the outside of Sainz as well to claim P3 in this Grand Prix, so the Ferrari is very much in the play here. Not quite sure where Verstappen is in all this, but for Bottas, he's got pressure from the other Ferrari of Lando Norris as down the inside goes Norris. Oh, it's close there between them. Reese is also fighting with his teammate Sainz now in all of this, and the Reese gets the job done. But for Norris and Verstappen, their fight is not done just yet. They've got work to do if they're going to determine who's going to be second in this Grand Prix for probably half a lap before they fight it out again. Norris around the outside of Cops gets that job done, and there we are, just staying ahead, just casually managing the gap between these drivers as they fling it through Maggots and Beckett. Look at them, they're absolutely flying now. Norris is in second place, Bottas is third, Reese is fourth, Sainz fifth, Piastri 6th in this Grand Prix as they breeze down the straight now. Who's going to come out on top? Well, it's going to be, oh, well, I was going to say Bottas, but Reese now has just breezed past Norris, and he's now side by side with Bottas in towards Stowe Corner. Reese has got it. He's got second place in this race. It's a double overtake for the Porsche driver, and it's job done for him. What a move that was. And further back, though, don't think I've forgotten about the fighting going on further down the order as Theo Pourchaire makes his way past Callum Ilott in quite a simple move, actually, going in towards Brooklands, lap 22 of the Grand Prix. Bottas is having a look at Reese here, going in towards Stowe Corner, round the outside for Valtteri Bottas. Reese will try and hold him off as long as he possibly can, and he's actually done so. Great defending from Reese, and he can cover the inside of Vale now, but unfortunately, he's opened the door for Bottas to have a look through the Vale chicane, but into Club Corner, Reese stays in front there. Good defending from the Porsche driver, and again now, lap 23, here comes Bottas for another attack now on Reese, going in towards Brooklands here. Reese will have to defend the outside line, give himself the better run, but again though, Reese, despite being on the hard compound tyres, is defending really well now against Bottas, but unfortunately, when you've got two drivers that close, it's not that easy. Sainz gets a double overtake on Bottas and also Reese. Bottas overtakes Reese, so Bottas has basically got one Porsche behind him and one Porsche in front of him, just like he did the lap before, but he's going to try and make a change to that because down the straight we go here. Bottas makes the move on Sainz. Reese is trying to make a move on Sainz as well, but he's boxed in. That's going to give Norris a bit of impetus to try and make a move here on Reese, going in towards the Vale chicane, and he's done that, and Piastri now is trying to be sneaky here and go up the inside of Reese into the chicane. Will Piastri get this job done? Round the outside here for Oscar, and the Aston gets in front of the Porsche, and that's a critical move for Aston Martin because Porsche now, with this competitive race weekend, are looking to try and make gains on Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship because they're not that far apart, I think. But here comes Sainz, though, making a lovely move on Bottas here as they go down the inside. Here comes Lando Norris now, who also is going to make a move here on Bottas. Bottas will try and hold this one here, going in towards the final corner, but it is not to be on that occasion. We start now the final lap. This is it then, the final lap of this Grand Prix, and we've got a clear fight now for second and third in this race. It's Lando Norris versus Carlos Sainz into Maggots and Beckett. Norris gets the job done on Carlos Sainz, but crucially, he's done that before the DRS detection zone. Norris has made a big error here. That's a huge problem now because Sainz is just going to breeze past Norris down the straight here. Bottas will have a look in towards Stowe, but it's not enough, unfortunately, for him. But what is not enough is anybody's opportunity at coming at us because into the last corner we go now, covering the final chicane towards the checkered flag. It's a home Grand Prix win for us here today. The British Grand Prix is taken by ourselves. We started on pole and we end it with a race win, which is very satisfying for ourselves because I'm pretty sure the last time we started on pole we didn't actually win. I think that was the Dutch Grand Prix. We started on pole and couldn't convert it, but this time around we were able to do just that. And as I was saying, for ourselves really in that race, it was a highly competitive Grand Prix. It was such a hard fought battle throughout the course of the grid, but what was key was coming in a lap earlier for my pit stop because it meant that the drivers that came in with me, the likes of Sainz, Bottas and Sam and stuff, they were already a second behind me anyway. But then when everybody else that I was in the fight with, so in that phase it was Reese, Hamilton and Verstappen, because I got such a big undercut on them and because they may have got held slightly in the pits because they were all coming in at the same time, it meant that by the time I'd come out of the pits, I was around about 2.5 seconds clear. Now, they gained around about 8/10 on the first lap because they always push really hard. But because I then didn't have anybody in my DRS, I'd set the car up in a way that I was already quick in a straight line. And to be honest, the car was set up beautifully for myself, which is a very rarity because I don't do any setup work. Like, I don't do, everything for, in terms of the roll bar, ride heights and stuff. When I set my car up for these race weekends for you guys, all I'm allowed to do, and I do it every single time, is I change the wing level to whatever I want to change it to. Say for this race it was like 20 wings. I'll change the front brake bias because for controller users it's easier to have, I think it's like 51, and I think your braking feels smooth. And then I edit the tyre pressures. I leave everything else alone. And this car just felt great around this track, but I knew if I could get out of DRS I might have a chance. And I had the opportunity and I took it, and they just couldn't get near me. Obviously, Sainz finishes only 6/10 back. Of course, on the final lap, the AIs push flat out anyway, and I didn't need to because I had the gap. So I was comfortable, and Sainz, even though he has only finished 0.6 off, it doesn't really reflect what the true gap was throughout the course of that. Lando Norris finishes in 3rd for Ferrari. A disappointing one for Lando Norris. He overtook Carlos Sainz in towards Maggots and Beckett. He should have just waited to the hangar straight, and he would have passed him into Stowe and got 2nd. So an error, a lapse in judgment there. Bit overeager. I think he thought once he got him into Beckett, he would have been able to have flustered him that much that Sainz would have been put off and the DRS wouldn't have allowed him to close, but Sainz was able to keep his car under control, keep his composure, and stay in the fight. Bottas finishes in 4th for Red Bull, 1.3 seconds off the win in the end. Oscar Piastri comes across the line in 5th for Aston Martin, 1.5 seconds as the checkered flag falls. Rees finishes the race in 6th for Porsche. A disappointing one for Rees in the end. I mean, obviously, Rees has had a very difficult season for Porsche regardless, but he was in 2nd for a lot of the Grand Prix, and then unfortunately, it's still right in the fight, but unfortunately fell back down towards the end. Sam finishes in 7th for McLaren. A very tough race for him this weekend. He didn't get a brilliant qualifying, but it was his race start that really cost him. By losing 5 places in a competitive grid like this, it hurt him. Charles Leclerc finishes in 8th for Audi, cracking result for them, and George Russell comes across the line in P9, meaning the top 9 were only separated by 6.5 seconds. It's still a super close grid at the moment, and Sergio Perez crosses the line in P11. And unfortunately for Lewis Hamilton, who we'll see in just a minute, he actually did get the fastest lap with a 1:24.570. He was right in that fight and definitely would have finished in the top 4 or top 5 at least had he not had his issues. Looking at the second half of the table though, Theo Pourchaire finishes in 11th for Aston Martin, ahead of Mason Wood in the BMW. Nick de Vries is 13th for Audi, with Daniel Ricciardo finishing in 14th for Renault. Pato O'Ward finishes in 15th, and when I mean finishes in 15th, I mean just finished in 15th place. Ricciardo, 18.461 seconds off the race win. Award 18.486 seconds off the win. Literally less than or just over 2/100ths of a second separated those two men as they crossed the start-finish line. Gasly finishes in 16th for Renault, with Lewis Hamilton unfortunately finishing in 17th place, finishing 34 seconds off the win at the end. He did actually overtake Callum Ilott at some point near the end, who was 36 seconds off the race winner. For Max Verstappen, it got even worse after his puncture. I'm not really sure what happened, but in the end he finished over a minute back, so he obviously had more problems, probably maybe even some floor damage. I'm not too sure. And Van Dorn was the only man to fail to finish this British Grand Prix, which is a real shame. And don't worry, I've literally just seen it at this very second here. I did not get the fastest lap. I forgot to edit it because I have to edit both pages of this. Hamilton got the fastest lap. I'm pretty sure the time of the 1:24.570 is correct, which it is. It's just not me. I haven't given myself a point anyway, so don't worry about it. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, though, and seeing how that has changed going into the next round of the season, we are back into the lead of the Drivers' Championship here this weekend. We are now 13 points clear of Valtteri Bottas. We're on 153 points. Bottas is on 140 points. Sam, meanwhile, has dropped further back in the championship now. He's on 130 points and 23 points now off the championship lead, so he's nearly a race victory behind now. But of course, we've seen plenty of swings in this Drivers' Championship, and there's going to be a lot more to come, hopefully. Oscar Piastri is 4th for Aston Martin. He's actually jumped in front of Max Verstappen now, so Piastri is putting on a very strong performance in his season at Aston Martin. Remember that Ferrari got rid of Piastri for Max Verstappen, and now Piastri has jumped the both of the Ferraris just to try and stick the needle in there a little bit. Piastri in 4th. Verstappen is 5th in the championship on 79 points, with Lando Norris now on 72 points. He's catching Verstappen in that fight for 5th in the championship. George Russell is on 69 points. Lovely jubbly. With Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, still on 51 points. Carlos Sainz is on 47 points now for Porsche, so he makes a little bit of a jump in terms of how many points he's got, and he's 106 points back in the championship, with Sergio Perez finishing, not finishing, but in P10 in the championship on 31 points. The next race for us is the F1 Journey Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Taking a look at the Constructors' Championship now, and there's been one change in the Constructors' Championship, and that's right at the very top with Mercedes. We're now leapfrogged McLaren in the Constructors' Championship after our race victory in McLaren's P7 and P9, I think it was. We're now on 204 points. McLaren are on 201 points. There is a 3-point gap between us two teams at the very top. Red Bull are on 171 points. They sit 33 points behind us at the top of the championship, with Ferrari 53 points back off the top of the championship on 151 points. Aston Martin are 5th in the championship on 92 points, but Porsche, crucially, after that performance from both their drivers, they're on 70 points. They're only 22 points behind Aston Martin, so that fight for 5th in the championship is going to get quite interesting. Audi are on 24 points for themselves, with Jaguar on 5 points, BMW on 2, and Renault with none. And that is it for the British Grand Prix. Let's go take a look at the post-race notebook, see what the teams and drivers had to say after this race. So here we are with the post-race notebook after the British Grand Prix, and it was Tom that took victory at his home race here at Silverstone, and it was Carlos Sainz that shone again for Porsche, finishing in P2, with Lando Norris taking a home Grand Prix podium, which unfortunately could have been a bit more, but unfortunately just made a mistake at the end. But this didn't come without controversy. Mercedes and Ferrari both called out Pirelli after tyre failures for Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. After pitting for their first stops, going onto the medium and the hard compound tyres on lap 15, Max Verstappen experienced a puncture with his front right, and Lewis Hamilton experienced a puncture with his left rear on lap 18. This was only 2 to 3 laps for each driver after they'd come out of the pits for the first time, meaning that there was something that was causing these tyre failures, and Mercedes and Ferrari have said that this is extremely dangerous, especially with these fast cars on this high-speed circuit, and they've asked Pirelli to get an investigation underway to find out the problems. Carlos Sainz has said that Porsche are back in business in Formula 1. It's been a very difficult start to proceedings for Porsche, and they've been bringing plenty of upgrades to their car, and here this weekend Porsche were on fire, and Sainz now expects Porsche to kick on with this motivational piece of racing that they've had to get even better results. And finally, Tom was super happy to claim a home Grand Prix victory for himself, and he feels like that is exactly what he needed to continue to build the momentum that he's been rocking with over the past few races. But that is it, guys, for the F1 journey for this weekend. So this was the British Grand Prix. If you guys had enjoyed it, like I said at the start, feel free to drop it a like. And if you're a new member around here and you fancy subscribing and keeping up to date with all the videos that I do post, that'd be very, very much appreciated. But from me, I'm out of here. So thank you very much for watching. Take care, all guys. Peace.